My name is Doreen Apia and the staff of Apia. With me here, we have Dr. Nkem Osigwe, the Director of Training and Capacity Development. We have Stanley Boache Echampon, the Research Coordinator. We have, who else is here? Okay. And then we have our resource person for today, but I'll not be the one to introduce him. Dr. Nkem will come and do the introduction. So he is a director, a music producer, and everything in South Africa. You see, we want to be part of what is going on. This, in every year, 26 April has been set aside as the Intellectual Property Day, World Intellectual Property Day, to encourage people and to also guide people not to plagiarize or pirate people's property. It's part of copyright law. So if you do not know what goes on or why we need to acknowledge or cite people properly when we use their documents, then today we are about to hear that. This year's theme is IP and music, feel the beat. Feel the beat, which means that this year, WIPO, that is the World Intellectual Property Organization, focus its attention on music and all its properties. And we decided that, yes, this is very important. Librarians have a big platform where everybody from cradle to grave have access to our resources. And because we have this big platform, we are at an advantageous position to advocate or talk to people about the best practices when it comes to music. How well do you know about copyright literacy or copyright laws on music? I don't know anything. I am so naive. And that is why we have Mr. or Director KaNozulu here to tell us what goes on. So without taking much of your time, I've seen we have a lot of people here. We have people from the Gambia. I've seen the CEO of the National Library of Gambia here. We have Mr. Andrew Makoni here. We have a lot of people from Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, South Africa, and all over Africa joining this meeting. If your friend or your colleague is not here, kindly share the link with the person and welcome the person to be here. I would like to invite Dr. Nkem to give us a welcome. Doc, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, Doreen. And again, we welcome everybody in this meeting, in this webinar. Thank you for being here. You know, when I was sharing about this morning, what I asked people, are you curious? Do you want to learn more about, what is the connection between libraries and the music industry? What role can libraries play in ensuring that people understand what the copyright provisions are for sharing music, especially in this digital era when we listen to podcasts, you go on YouTube and share something and you add the musical background, TikTok, all these things are places where people create content. And wherever or whyever that people share content, librarians ought to be there because we are like that bridge between what people know and what people do not know. And we help people to understand things better wherever there is content, wherever there is content in whatever format. And that is why we are here. When the program officer was drawing up this program, she said, Dr. Nkem, you're going to be the moderator. And I was like, why? And she said, Dr. Nkem, don't you remember you told us when you were a disc jockey, you were a DJ when I was doing my service. So it is like a singular honor. It is, I feel privileged to introduce our resource person for today, because honestly, he's a big fish. And I want to first of all show my appreciation to him and to Mandla and Ntombela, who linked us up with him. So today, as a resource person, we are going to have again another Mandla KaNozulu. I hope sorry if I didn't get the pronunciation of your surname correctly as I should have. I tried AI to teach me how to pronounce it. I went to some sites to understand how to pronounce your name correctly. So Mandla is the deputy chairman of KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Geographical Names Committee, and he's the executive producer of KaNozulu Productions, and he's quite a lot of things. He's an activist, you know, with over 30 years of experience in arts, culture, and heritage issues. And he's also well known for the roles he has been playing in preserving heritage and promoting creative expression in Africa, in South Africa especially. He has been a leader in many organizations and fields, and he has won quite a number of awards. And he has been nominated for other awards too. So we are glad to have Mandla here, and he's going to take us through a lot of things. In fact, I went through his slides and I was like, hey, how could I have missed this? Anybody that misses this today will really have he or herself to blame, because it's going to be a loaded presentation. Again and again, we have said it that AFIA is interested in expanding the frontiers for the library sector in Africa, so that the things we were not used to doing, we can get into them, not just get into them, learn how to get into them properly and how to handle such issues in the right manner. So, dear all, I give towards Mandla KaNozulu. KaNozulu, sorry for that, yeah. You're welcome, Mandla. Over to you, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Greetings to everyone. I am having a little struggle here with my devices. I've had to join with the phone while my daughter is trying to connect my iPad. It's been a struggle for the last 15 minutes. I do not know if it's possible that somebody can share the presentation on the screen, then I can speak to it if that's possible. If not, I would really ask you to bear with me while, or I think someone is sharing. That will help me a lot. Awesome. Am I on?
Please, can you see it? Dr. Nkem has shared.
There's no audio here.
Hello.
Sir?
Can you hear me?
Please, can you see? Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, it's fine. So let me start. Once again, greetings everyone. I am very excited to have been given this opportunity to talk to you today about a subject matter that is quite close to my heart. Today, we are here to celebrate World Intellectual Property Day, a day dedicated to recognizing the value of intellectual property in encouraging creativity and innovation. Can we go to the first slide, please? Why celebrate World Intellectual Property Day? World Intellectual Property Day is celebrated every year on April 26th, and it was started by the World Intellectual Property Organization, or WIPO, back in the year 2000. The goal is to raise awareness about how intellectual property impacts our daily lives, especially in creative fields like music, film, literature, and design. We know that this year's theme is IP and music, feel the beat of IP, and it's a powerful reminder of how copyright protects musicians, composers, producers, and everyone else involved in bringing music to life. We are shining a spotlight today on Africa's music sector, one of the most vibrant and creative in the world. But despite this incredible creativity, there is often very little legal protection or financial benefits for the creators. That's a gap we need to close, because ultimately, copyright isn't about law, it's about equity. It empowers artists, um, supports cultural sustainability, and ensures that creators get the recognition and compensation they deserve. Next slide, please. Understanding music copyright basics. When we talk about music copyright, we are really talking about two layers of protection. The first layer covers the musical composition. This includes the lyrics, the melody, and the arrangement of the song. Think of the sheet music or the song as it was written. The second layer is the sound recording. This is the actual recorded performance and the production behind it. So if someone writes a song and then a singer records it in a studio, both the writing and the recording are protected. These copyrights give creators exclusive rights to control how their music is used, whether that's performing it, reproducing it, or licensing it. This system exists not just to protect rights, but to promote fairness. Where creators are compensated fairly, they are encouraged to keep creating, and that helps preserve culture, innovation, and identity. Next slide, please. How can musicians register their music? Now that we understand what music copyright protects, the next question is, how do musicians actually register their work? One of the most direct ways is through national copyright offices. For example, in Nigeria, musicians can register with the Nigerian Copyright Commission or NCC. In South Africa, it's the CIPC, the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission, or any national commission in your own country. There are also international options. Musicians can use online platforms like the US Copyright Office, COSYNA for African creators, and or WIPO's IP portal for global protection. And for those who want a simplified, more automated route, services like Song Trust and TuneCore can help artists register their music in multiple territories at once. Why is registration important? Because it creates a public record of ownership. That's what makes it possible to enforce rights, claim royalties, and take action if someone uses your work permission. Okay, I see you on the next slide already. Copyright versus Creative Commons, what's the difference? This is a common area of confusion, so let's break it down. Copyright means all rights are reserved by the creator. That includes reproduction, distribution, performance, and licensing. If someone wants to use a copyrighted work, they need permission, usually through a license or agreement. Creative Commons, on the other hand, is a licensing system that says some rights are reserved. It allows creators to share their work with the public under specific conditions, like giving credit, not using it for commercial purposes, or not making changes to it. For musicians, using Creative Commons can be a great way to gain exposure, especially for newer artists who want their music shared more widely, while still being recognized as the creator. So when deciding between copyright and Creative Commons, it's really about your goals. If you want full control and monetization, go with copyright. If you want to encourage collaboration and sharing, Creative Commons might be the better fit for you. Is all music protected by copyright? The short answer is yes. As long as the music is original, it's automatically protected by copyright the moment it's created. And this applies across all genres, whether it's classical, traditional, folk music, hip hop, or even electronic beats. The law doesn't discriminate based on style or popularity. But there's an important catch: the music must be fixed in a tangible form. That means it needs to be written down or recorded or somehow captured in a way that it can be reproduced. Just humming a melody or improvising on the spot doesn't count unless it is documented. Unrecorded ideas, no matter how brilliant, aren't protected until they are written, recorded, or otherwise saved. That's why it's so important for creators to document their work as soon as possible. What is music piracy in the digital space? Now let's talk about piracy, an issue that's become even more prominent in the digital space. Music piracy is essentially the unauthorized copying, sharing, or downloading of music. This means that someone is accessing or distributing music without the permission of the creator or copyright holder. It's important to clarify that fair use doesn't equal piracy. Fair use allows limited use of copyrighted material for specific purposes, like criticism, commentary, or education. But even in these cases, fair use has strict guidelines, and it doesn't give people a free pass to share or use music without permission. Piracy has a major impact. It directly harms the artist's income because people are getting the music for free instead of paying for it. It also weakens the entire music industry by disrupting the value of copyrighted content. Not on all online sharing is legal, even if it's for educational purposes. So it's crucial for creators and consumers alike to understand the difference between sharing legally and engaging in piracy. Where does piracy happen most? Piracy happens in a number of places online, and it's crucial to know where to look out for it. Some of the most common sites are torrent platforms like the Pirate Bay and file sharing apps that allow users to download and upload music illegally. Even Telegram groups are becoming popular for sharing pirated content. Social media is another major hotspot for piracy. Platforms like TikTok, YouTube, and WhatsApp are frequently misused to re upload music without proper permission from the creators. It's easy for people to take a song, share it, and claim it as their own or distribute it for free, often without realizing the damage they are doing. However, there are solutions in place. Platforms like YouTube have content ID systems that automatically detect copyrighted music and prevent unauthorized uploads. In the US, the DMCA, a Digital Millennium Copyright Act, allows right holders to send takedown notices to remove infringing content. Additionally, legal streaming services like Spotify and Apple Music use copyright tools to ensure that music is properly licensed and that creators get paid for their work. Ultimately, digital literacy is key, both for creators and users. If we all understand what constitutes piracy versus fair use, we can help reduce the spread of pirated music. Streaming platforms help or harm? Streaming platforms have transformed the music industry in many ways, but there are both pros and cons to consider. On the positive side, streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, and others have made it easier than ever for musicians to reach global audiences. Artists can now share their music with listeners from around the world without the need for a record label or traditional distribution network. Additionally, platforms like Spotify for artists help track royalties, providing artists with detailed data on streams and earnings. This can be useful for understanding your audience and planning future releases. However, there are also significant downsides. One of the biggest challenges is the low per stream payout. While streaming platforms provide exposure, the financial returns can be minimal for independent musicians unless they have a massive number of streams. Another issue is that rights management can vary by platform, which can complicate things for artists trying to protect their work and earn a fair share. This is where librarians, like copyright experts or music rights organizations, can play a vital role. They can guide artists on choosing the right platforms and navigating the complex world of digital rights management. So while streaming can help musicians in terms of reach and visibility, it's crucial to use these platforms wisely to ensure fair compensation and protection of their rights. Just wish to take you through a brief case study of Solomon Linda and the Lion Sleeps Tonight, a cautionary tale from South Africa. One of the most tragic examples of music exploitation comes from South Africa, with the story of Solomon Linda and his iconic song, Bube, Wimbube, which became globally known as The Lion Sleeps Tonight. Solomon Linda, a talented composer, wrote Mbube in 1939, but despite its massive success and the millions it's generated over the years, Linda received no royalties for his work. This is a heartbreaking story of how a creator who brought something beautiful into the world was left without fair compensation. Linda passed away in poverty, while his song continues to be used in movies, adverts, and all over the world. His family, after decades of fighting, finally reached a settlement with Disney in 2006, who had used the song in The Lion King and other media. The case brought global attention to the exploitation of African musicians and the serious gaps in copyright enforcement, particularly in Africa. So, what can musicians learn from this case? First, know your rights and make sure you register your music. Understanding copyright law is vital in protecting your work. Second, it's crucial to understand contract and licensing so you don't inadvertently give away your rights. Lastly, musicians should push for international protection and advocacy. Copyright laws need to work for everyone, everywhere, and that requires global attention and change. The legacy of your work should be protected, and copyright literacy is key to making sure your music continues to benefit you and your heirs. I must add here that as a member of the KZN Provincial Geographical Names Committee, last year we renamed a town where Solomon Linda comes from. It was known as Pomeroy. It is now known as Solomon Linda. Thanks, we can move. What can musicians do if their work is pirated? So what happens if you find that your work has been pirated? Fortunately, there are legal tools you can use to protect your rights. One of the most common methods is filing a DMCA takedown. Once again, DMCA is the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, a US law designed to help creators protect their works in the digital space. If someone is using your music without your permission, you can file a formal request to have content removed from platforms like YouTube, Instagram, or even websites that are hosting it. Here is how it works. Let's say you find your song uploaded on YouTube without your consent. You will file a DMCA takedown request with YouTube. If your claim is valid, YouTube is legally required to take down the infringing content. Now, the person who uploaded your work isn't completely out of options. They can file a counter notice if they believe their use falls under fair use or that the material was taken down in error. But as the copyright holder, you have the power to protect your work from illegal distribution. It's a strong tool for creators, but it's important to make sure your request is valid and that you understand the process fully. DMCA takedown, what's included in a DMCA notice? That's the next slide, please. Thank you. To file a valid DMCA takedown notice, there are a few essential elements you must include. One, your contact information. This could be an email address or phone number where you can be reached. Two, a description of the copyrighted work. You need to clearly identify the work that's been infringed. For example, if it's a song, you include the song's title and any specific details that help identify it. Number three, a link to the infringing content. This is the URL or web address where the unauthorized use of your music is happening. If it's on TikTok, you get a link for where the song is being used. For a statement that you own the right, you'll need to confirm that you are the copyright holder or that you have the legal authority to act on behalf of the copyright holder. 5, your electronic signature. This could be as simple as typing your name at the end of the notice or using a digital signature tool. Here's an example to make it clearer. Imagine a musician finds their original track uploaded on YouTube by someone else who's claiming it's theirs. The musician can file a DMCA takedown notice, and YouTube will usually remove the video within days if the notice is valid. One important thing to note is that the DMCA is primarily a US law, but many platforms like YouTube follow its guidelines worldwide. If you are outside the US, don't worry. There are usually local copyright laws or similar processes like WIPO or national regulators that you can use to protect your work. Copyright enforcement in Africa, what's the challenge? In many parts of Africa, enforcing copyright is a major challenge. There are a few key reasons for this. First, there is often weak infrastructure for enforcement. Copyright offices and legal systems may not have the resources or reach to effectively protect creators' rights across the continent. Second, there is low awareness of copyright law among both artists and the general public. Without understanding how copyright works and how to report infringements, many creators don't know when their work is being exploited or they don't know how to take action. This combination of weak infrastructure and low awareness results in low reporting of piracy and infringements. Musicians and creators are less likely to report when their work is being pirated because they may not know how or where to do it. But there are solutions. For one, artists can partner with NGOs, copyright offices, and legal tech startups that are working to improve copyright awareness and enforcement in Africa. These organizations can help bridge the gap by offering support and resources to artists. Furthermore, there needs to be stronger advocacy and better systems in place at the grassroots level to educate creators and ensure their rights are protected from the start. Thank you. A case study, Pirates Bay. Let's take a look at a well-known case study of piracy, the Pirate Bay. I'm sure a lot of people know about this. In 2009, the Pirate Bay, one of the largest piracy sites in the world, was raided in Sweden. This was a significant moment in the fight against online piracy, and it sent a clear global message. Piracy has legal consequences. The raid resulted in the site founders being convicted and sentenced to prison time, which made headlines worldwide. While this action did help reduce the number of illegal downloads from the site, it also highlighted some critical gaps in enforcement. Even though the raid had an impact, it became clear that piracy operates across borders, making enforcement incredibly challenging. Piracy sites like the Pirate Bay can move quickly, and when one is shut down, others often spring up to take its place. This case was a turning point, showing that while legal action is important, there needs to be broader, more international collaboration to effectively tackle piracy on a global scale. How can librarians support copyright education? Librarians play a crucial role in supporting copyright education, especially in today's digital age, where intellectual property is often misunderstood or overlooked. First, librarians can host workshops, copyright clinics, and information sessions to educate creators and the public about copyright law. These events can help clarify the complexities of copyright and give musicians the tools they need to protect their work. It's also essential to partner with artists, music schools, and copyright agencies to ensure the right expertise is shared. Collaborating with these groups will help librarians stay up to date with the latest developments in copyright law and provide relevant practical guidance to their communities. Offering multilingual and culturally relevant materials is another key strategy. Africa, for example, is a diverse continent with many languages and cultures. So, providing materials that cater to different communities will make copyright education more accessible. In South Africa, we have at least 12 official languages when we include the sign language. As trusted educators, librarians have a unique opportunity to use their platform to raise awareness and empower creators. By sharing knowledge and creating a safe space for learning, librarians can be instrumental in fostering a better understanding of copyright and intellectual property. What tools can librarians use? Librarians can make a significant impact by equipping their communities with the right tools for navigating copyright law and music and using music legally. One great tool is the Creative Commons search, which helps users find music, images, and other content that's legally available for reuse under specific licenses. This can be a fantastic resource for musicians and educators alike who want to use creative works without worrying about copyright violations. The WIPO copyright toolkit is another essential resource. Developed by the World Intellectual Property Organization, this toolkit provides valuable information on copyright law with resources that help libraries and creators navigate legal issues more easily. The Copyright Alliance is a great organization that provides resources for creators and advocates for stronger copyright protection. Librarians can use this material to educate artists about their rights and how to protect them. Additionally, IFLA guidelines, International Federation of Library Associations, offer recommendations on copyright practices for libraries and can help in shaping copyright education programs. Finally, open access music libraries provide a space where musicians can access legal music for various uses. These libraries promote legal music distribution and consumption, which is key in the fight against piracy. The goal is not just to give communities the rules, but to equip them with tools that will enable them to use creative works legally and responsibly. Libraries plus music industry equals stronger communities. How to collaborate? Collaboration between libraries and the music industry can be incredibly powerful in building stronger, more vibrant communities. One way to foster this collaboration is by co-hosting events with musicians and rights organizations. These events could include workshops on copyright, live music showcase, or even panel discussions about the business of music. By working together, libraries can amplify the voice of artists and help them understand their rights. Libraries can also provide space for music showcases, where in the form of live performances or exhibitions, giving musicians a platform to showcase their work while also offering support with copyright registration help. This would help local artists protect their creations while increasing their visibility. Another key role for libraries is to act as a bridge between creators and legal support. Many artists, especially in underserved communities, may not have easy access to legal advice. Libraries can help connect them to copyright experts, lawyers, or relevant organizations, ensuring that creators have the resources they need to protect their rights. Librarians are more than just information providers. They are cultural gatekeepers and champions of music rights. By helping artists navigate the complex world of copyright, librarians can play an essential role in the success of creative industries. I'm lobbying you, dear librarians, now. I'm advocating on behalf of the industry. Music licensing and fair principles. Music licensing is an essential part of the music industry. It essentially means giving permission to others to use your music, whether it's for ads, films, apps, or other commercial purposes. Musicians should be aware of the terms of any licensing agreement before agreeing to anything. Always read the terms carefully so you know exactly what you are allowing, who has the rights, and how your music will be used. Whenever possible, it's wise for musicians to retain master rights. These rights give you control over how your music is used and how you earn from it. If you can retain the master rights, you'll have a more flexibility to license your music in a way that works best for you. The FAIR principles, findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable, are especially important when it comes to music. These principles help ensure that your music stays discoverable, is easy to use across platforms, and is properly credited when used by others. It's about making sure your work is respected and your rights are maintained. However, remember that fair use is a separate concept. While it allows people to use your work without permission in certain circumstances, it still needs to be fair for creators. This means that fair use should never harm creators or their rights, especially in the case of commercial exploitation of their work. What is fair use? What's not? Let's break down fair use, which is a common but often misunderstood concept in copyright law. Fair use allows for limited use of copyrighted material without the need for permission from the creator. It's typically used for purposes like criticism, commentary, education, and parody. For example, if a teacher uses a short clip of a song in a classroom setting for educational purposes, that could fall under fair use. However, not everything is considered fair use. For instance, using an entire song in a YouTube video without permission is definitely not fair use. This is a common mistake where people assume they can freely use copyrighted music. But when it comes to things like full songs used for entertainment or commercial purposes, the creator's rights are being violated. Librarians can play a crucial role here by helping clarify these gray areas of fair use for both educators and content creators. They can guide users to understand the limits of fair use and help them avoid infringing on copyright. The future of copyright, the new frontiers. As we look toward the future of music copyright, we see some exciting yet complex new frontiers, things like NFT, AI-generated music, and immersive audio experiences. These innovations bring new possibilities for creators, but they also present unique challenges in terms of copyright protection and ownership. Let's start with NFTs or non-fungible tokens. They allow musicians to sell unique digital assets like limited edition songs or albums directly to their fans. But this new market raises questions about ownership rights, how royalties are tracked, and how traditional copyright laws apply in the digital space. Next, we have AI-generated music. While AI can now compose music, there are big questions about who owns the rights to music created by an algorithm. Does it belong to the AI creator, the person who programmed it, or the company that owns the technology? This could potentially blur the lines of copyright protection, leading to new debates about authorship. Then there's immersive audio, like spatial sound in virtual or augmented reality experiences. As music and technology continue to intersect, the rules for how we protect and share music will continue to evolve. The ongoing battle here is between protection, ensuring creators are compensated for their work on one side, and on the other side, open sharing, making sure the digital age remains accessible for everyone. Emerging policies and laws will shape how we define and value creativity in this new space. While the future is undeniably digital, it's important to remember that justice must be human. As technology evolves, we need to ensure that creators still have a fair chance to thrive in a system that values their contribution. The future music copyright will need to strike a balance that protects creators while fostering innovation. AI and music, who owns what? As AI continues to develop, one of the most pressing questions in the music industry is who owns the rights to AI generated music? AI can now generate full songs from simple prompts, creating compositions that sound just like those made by human musicians. This brings us to some big questions. Who is the creator? Is it AI itself, the programmer who created it, or the user who inputs prompts? Can AI works be copyrighted? Under current laws, copyright is typically granted to human creators. But while AI doing the creating, legal systems are being forced to adapt. If an AI generates a song, should the song rights, should the copyright go to the person who developed the algorithm, the person who used it, or I've made this point? Legal systems around the world are still figuring this out, and the outcome will shape the future of AI generated works in the creative industry. For now, librarians must stay informed on these developments. As educators, librarians will play a crucial role in helping their communities understand these changes and navigate the shifting legal landscape. It's a rapidly evolving world, and staying informed will be key in helping others make sense of it. Yo, AI is here, good people. Top tools for musicians and librarians. Let's talk about some essential tools for both musicians and librarians that can help navigate copyright and rights management. Firstly, for musicians, there are a few key platforms and organizations that help with royalty collection and rights management. ASCAP, BMI, and Sound Exchange are major players in the industry when it comes to collecting royalties for public performances, digital streams, and more. Musicians should register with these organizations to ensure they are properly compensated when their music is played or streamed. Platforms like TuneCore, Songtrust, and CD Baby Pro are useful for rights management. These services help artists register their music globally, distribute their tracks to streaming platforms, and manage their rights, streamlining the often complex process of earning money from music. Secondly, now for librarians, there are some fantastic resources for staying up to date on copyright law and music. The IFLA copyright guidelines provide important information for libraries and help them navigate copyright issues in their own work and educational programming. The WIPO LEX database offers a comprehensive collection of national and international copyright laws, which is an essential tool for any librarian interested in copyright education. The Open Mic Archive is a valuable resource for accessing legally shareable music, ensuring that libraries can provide legal content for their patrons. Libraries can make these resources available through resource guides or community workshops, helping both creators and the general public understand their rights and the tools available to them. Librarians. As librarians, we can play a pivotal role in supporting musicians, especially those who are just starting out in their careers. One effective way to do this is by hosting basic intellectual property literacy events where you can bring in industry guests such as music lawyers, copyright experts, and experienced successful musicians to share their insights. What's the best way to reduce digital piracy in education? When it comes to reducing digital piracy in education, one key strategy is for libraries to curate legal music sources and make them easily accessible to educators and students. This includes providing access to platforms where copyright compliant music can be used for educational purposes. In addition, librarians can help by educating users on fair use policies. Many people may not realize that there are specific guidelines around what qualifies as fair use, especially when it comes to using copyrighted music in teaching materials or classroom projects. Finally, it's essential to keep conversations going with artists, educators, and learners by fostering a collaborative dialogue. Librarians can help ensure that everyone understands the importance of respecting copyright and how to use music responsibly in educational context. I promise you this is the last slide. Conclusion and a call to action. As we come to the end of this presentation, I want to emphasize that copyright literacy is essential not only for protecting the rights of artists, but also for ensuring their artistic freedom and financial stability. When musicians understand their rights, they are better equipped to navigate the complexities of the music industry. And fair compensation and protects their creative works from exploitation. I'm sorry, I saw that comment that said, don't stop. Thank you. Librarians, you play a critical role in this ecosystem. Can I say that again? Librarians, you play a critical role in this ecosystem. You are trusted educators who can make a real difference by spreading knowledge, offering resources, and supporting both creators and communities in understanding the importance of copyright. So let's take action together. Raise awareness about copyright, especially in places where it is often misunderstood or overlooked. Share resources that help creators and educators navigate the complexities of copyright law. Fight piracy by promoting legal music usage and educating the public about the harm piracy causes to creators. Most importantly, let's protect voices, especially in Africa, where many talented musicians often lack the legal support and resources they need to protect their work. Because at the end of the day, every beat, every song deserves credit. I thank you. The next two slides offer some resources and links for librarians. I hope this presentation will be shared so that you can have access to all these links. They will provide much more details to some of the things that I spoke about in my presentation. On that note, I would like to say thank you very much.
I'm clapping for you, Mandla. Thank you so very much. Like I said at the beginning, I went through your slides and I was like, why should somebody miss this? Thank you very much. We heard so many things. Let me start from the last one that you say that every beat deserves credit. Every song deserves credit. And that leads me to, the things you said about what role the librarians and libraries can play in this, that fair use must be understood, that we need to let people know, create awareness, let people know that this one is fair use of music, this one is not fair use, that this one is piracy, that this one is not allowed. And you say that fair use must be seen to be fair to creators. Then there's also something that you say that caught my attention. You said that the future is digital, the justice is human, then that librarians are educators and that we must stay informed so that we can educate others in a changing world, because honestly, times are changing. The way we listen to music, the way we assessed music growing up is totally different from what we see now. Then there's this point that you raised too that I want to bring up. You say that libraries should learn how to curate legal music sources and then educate people on how to use them. And I know that I read somewhere about metadata for music, you know, how we can keep details of who wrote a song, who performed it, who are the instrumentalists on a particular song. This is the original song. It was produced by so at so time, and so on. That when such records exist and libraries keep them, then it doesn't matter where anybody goes in the world, that the sources in our libraries can also be used to back up claims of ownership and so on. Then you say that we should keep conversations ongoing with artists, educators, and others in the music sector, and then work on low awareness of copyright as it pertains to the music industries. And then you also say something about librarians guiding artists in choosing and using streaming platforms so that they won't be cheated. Because sure, it's quite easy to say, oh, stream it here or there, but what are the pros and cons? You talked about that. Then there's something you also say that falls squarely into the lap of librarians. You say that digital literacy is key to recognizing piracy and fair versus fair use for creators and users. So we are going to throw the floor open now for questions and questions, because this is an area that many librarians in Africa have not really gone into. But we are eager to learn. We want to learn. You know, how do we do this? How do we even start, you know, to talk with aspiring musicians all over the continent? Because, you know, it has been proven that Africa is a youth continent, that we have more people that are, I think, from 25 or 30 down than people that are from 35 years in the continent. And many of these young people are quite creative. And then AI and the new technologies, they have really come in, and young people are starting to experiment with all of that. They want to see, how can I use AI to create music? What prompts do I use? And you're saying that libraries have to step in to tell them, oh, this is good, it's wonderful, but these are the gray areas and these are the no-go areas. But sure, experiment, but just know your limits and so on. So I'm going to are there questions in the chat box? Doreen, I can just see one in the Q&A. All right.
I'm just reading the comments of people. I've not seen any question in the chat box, in the chat yet, but it has been commendations upon commendations and other things.
That's
so it's
great.
Just one question in the Q&A box. Do you want me to read or you read?
Yes, please, you can read. Thank you.
All right. So in discos or nightclubs, the DJs normally play other people's songs, and at the end of the day, they get paid. Isn't that infringement of Copyright Act? So the person wants to know, Mbali Zulu is asking if the DJs who plays the songs in nightclubs and discos are not infringing the rights of the musicians. Hello.
Or do you
Mandla,
need
can
me
you hear? Yeah, yeah.
to answer this one? Okay. No, thank
Yes.
you. It depends in different countries and the laws in those countries. But nightclubs, like theaters, like radio stations, they have to they do get a license to play the music, and by law they are supposed to provide playlists so that as they play the music, the venue itself, for instance, if I am an artistic director at a playhouse and somebody is coming to with a play to stage a play, and the play has music from some artists, the institution, you'll find that, is registered with the an organization in South Africa. We have what is called SAMRO, which is a collector, where institution is registered with that, in that they get some kind of a global license where they declare afterwards which music they used. But for most creators, things like nightclubs and your music playing in a taxi or things like that are seen as promotion of the music. Most creators understand that it will be very difficult to say if there is a taxi somewhere in Johannesburg carrying 16 people, and the taxi driver is playing my music, and people like this taxi, they wait for it because it plays good music, and my music is part of that good music, which means there is a commercial value that this taxi owner or driver gains from playing my music and the other music that they play. It becomes very difficult to then track such usage, and it is then left almost as promotion of the music. But ideally, in an ideal world, a music that is played at nightclubs and discos, there's supposed to be some kind of a register at the end that is provided to say which songs were played, like we do on television. When we finalize editing an episode, we then list all the music and give credits for it. But as I say, some spaces are really very difficult, like the example that Mbali is making of nightclub and discos, like the example I'm making of taxis and taxi ranks and open spaces. Some churches also even use music by gospel music artists, and they take those songs, they sing them, they replicate them as part of their services and all of those things. Someone can challenge some of those things and say there is commercial value being gained through the use of my music, but enforcement will be very difficult in such cases. I hope I've been able to answer, Mbali.
Yes, you have. Thank you so much for that explanation. Please, if you have any question, okay, there's a second question from K. What happens when someone reports a case of copyright infringement and action is not taken? Would that not affect the person who has reported and others who may have the same issue? Thank you so much for the lecture, and it is indeed thought-provoking and educative, sir. So she wants to know what happens if a person reports of infringement and the issue, or there's no action taken on that. What happens?
So if there is an infringement and you ask for a takedown or for correction, and action is not taken. So depending what platform you are talking about, let's say you are talking about YouTube or TikTok. So where you will be following the DMCA takedown process, you are able to appeal. You can go to that app and submit or file an appeal. If it's something that is happening nationally in your country, then the courts of law, you can approach a legal clinic or approach a court of law to then complain or lay a charge against whoever is infringing on your copyrights. If you have the finances, you get a lawyer, and then let's the law take its course. But eventually, if you have proof that it's your work, justice should be on your side.
Okay. Thank you so much. There's another question from Stanley Okerafo. How do one convince a musician to work with the librarian to protect his copyright to his intellectual rights, as most of them have lawyers? As in, how will a librarian convince a musician to work with them to protect their copyright or intellectual property of their music? That is what I think the impulse of the question is.
Yes, thank you very much for that question. I think if it is provided as a service at a library, it becomes one of the options. We are not going to go out and scout for musicians to say, instead of a lawyer, come to the library. If they want to spend money and pay a lawyer, that's fine. But where librarians empower more people and it is proven in that community that creators who go to libraries get real help, more people will be convinced to come to the libraries. So it's on the quality of the service that we provide and the results that will be out there for everyone to see that will convince the artist. But if they prefer to go to lawyers, I do not think librarians should be competing with lawyers, but librarians should be available for everyone, whether you can afford a lawyer or not.
Great.
Thank you for that, Mandla. Before you answer the other questions, I just want to chip in here. You see, we are not doing this for librarians to say, "Oh, I can give you legal advice." We want to create awareness. We want to let the African library sector know that they can lead in creating awareness about possibilities, about IP laws as pertains to music, about potentials of infringement where they may exist, so that people are generally aware of things even before they go to the lawyer. I'm not holding brief for anyone, but I can tell you that sometimes, what if a lawyer pleases you like that, gets in some shady things that you don't know about? But what happens when, let's say, you get to the library, let's say first, you see materials about IP, you can educate yourself, so that when you now go to a lawyer, you're better informed. I think that's like a better way to look at it. Thank you. There's also a question by somebody else here that we are missing. Doreen, I think there's a question.
Is it in the Q&A?
Teresa Adu, yeah.
Dr. Teresa Adu.
Yeah,
Let me see. What is the question? Okay. Educating and creating awareness is key to handling issues of privacy, but may require some artificial financial commitment. As much as I see it as a collective responsibility, who finances educating the users of IP related items? So in other words, who finances the education on IP related items? Educating the users
Well, as we are talking about spreading awareness and providing access to sources and resources where people can gain more insight and gain help. I do not know who pays librarians to do their work. I guess it's whether it's a government library or whoever. All we are saying is that we were here to empower librarians to say they can do more in this area of work to spread awareness. But when it becomes a case that then requires resources to fight that particular case or something like that, then it may be something that is out of the mandate of the librarian, and then maybe it requires a lawyer, or it requires a legal clinic, or some section in a university or something like that. So it will be unfair to expect a librarian to carry your case right through, but the librarian should be there to guide you, to say, go to this website, go to that legal office. This is fair use, this is not fair use, this is piracy, this is not piracy, and this is how you register your music and protect it. So the librarian is there just to provide guidance and awareness, not really to take on a specific case and fight it until you to the end. I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Mm.
I agree with what Mr. Mandla is saying. So that now
Yes,
questions are coming in. There's one
Mm.
from Tendai Maziga. How do we treat cases of artists who use melodies from traditional songs that were used by communities, for example, at ceremonies? What rights does the artist have, and how does the community benefit? So let me take the question again. How do we treat cases of artists who use melodies from traditional songs? Traditional songs were used, or who melodies from traditional songs were used by communities, for example, at ceremonies. What right does the artist have, and how does the community benefit? I think he wants to find out about those the artists who use traditional songs during ceremonies. When they are asked to perform, maybe they sing traditional songs. He's asking how the communities benefit from that.
Well, it's very difficult to say how the community benefits, but when you register a song, you are asked whether it is a composition, or it's an arrangement or a rearrangement of a song that is in the public domain. So there is music that is really said to be in the public domain, because most of it, no one knows who composed the songs. It's songs we grow up singing, and our parents grew up singing, and their great grandparents, and so on. It falls in the category of what is called traditional songs. So when an artist registers that song, that song is not registered as an original composition, but it is registered as an arrangement of a song that is in the public domain. So there's a lot of music like that: wedding songs, gospel songs, traditional dance songs, and all of those things. It will be very difficult to say how does the community benefit. In fact, in the case study that I talked about of Solomon Linda, at some point, those who were exploiting his creation tried to argue that the song Mbobe was a song in the public domain. But fortunately, they were able to track down to the studio where he recorded it in 1939. So songs in public domain are a bit difficult. How the community benefits, I will be lying. I don't know.
Can
Okay,
I ask a flow of
a
question
follow-up
on
question.
this? Now you're talking about traditional music, traditional songs, and then you talked about songs in the public domain.
Mhm.
And I feel a little bit uncomfortable because it will be as if they are mostly, well, from my own perspective, mostly African traditional songs that people from outside the continent will now come and say, oh, they should be in the public domain. Everybody from your community sings it. Is that really proper? You know, I mean, there's something there that I'm uncomfortable about. But what if people can trace like the ancestry in quotes of songs, so that we can know that, oh, it started from this community. It was this community that started this song, that had it first, then others copied it, and now it's like, oh, everybody's singing it. African songs, I mean, traditional songs. Is there no way that we can do that instead of saying, oh, because everybody sings it, it's in the public domain? Because my understanding of public domain is different from my understanding of traditional songs.
So, Doug, in terms of public domain, I would like to know how many years, for instance, we know that with books, it takes 70 years after the decease of the author. How many years can a music take after the decease of the author for it to be in the public domain? So that we get that one too as something that we can leverage on.
Well, in terms of registered music, the music is owned by the owner in perpetuity. There is no time where my song will be said, I composed it 200 years ago, and therefore it is now in the public domain. It doesn't work like that. The generations and generations that are part of my family will keep owning that song. The other statement you are making, I really agree with you. It is very sad that for the longest of time, African communities were not exposed to this thing of registering the compositions, and yet people were composing music 500 years, 600 years ago, and those songs were sung in different, and they became part of the tradition, hence they are called the traditional music. And there are songs that the Xhosa boys sing when they go to the mountain. There are songs that the Zulu girls sing when they go to the reed dance ceremony. Most of those songs, you do not have a record of who composed this music, where does it, who is the owner of this music. And there is a lot of exploitation of such music, and then we end up not having a benefit. So just thinking on top of my head, what maybe we could suggest to communities, especially that have some kind of being organized, where like they have traditional leaders, chiefs and all of those things, is that maybe as communities, as the Batswana or as the whatever tribe and stuff like that, they can start collecting and archiving their own music as a tribe, and then registering all that music as the music of their tribe, so that whoever wants to sample that music, wants to use that music, the copyrights rest with that chiefdom or with that tribe or with that society. And there could be a music society of a particular group of people. They form an NPO, and then they collect all the traditional, the music that is called traditional music in their community. They record that music, and all that music is copyrighted under that music society. I think it's something that we can propose, and it's something that
Yes.
should be done, because there is a lot of music that is really our heritage that finds itself to movies, Hollywood movies, and nobody pays for that music because it's in the public domain.
I think that's like, an action step to take, maybe, or where we wish to head to as we start, let's say, online workshops, because I can see quite a lot of questions here. We'll still reach some out on how, what can librarians now do if we hold workshops online and invite musicians? Will they come? They will come, but we have to follow the due process. We have to follow the process to inviting them, so that it won't be as if we are doing something just off our heads. AFIA will have to oil some wheels along the way, connect with people, tell them where we are heading to, so that they can now see that, okay, let's talk with you. Let's make our people hear you speak. So yes, we'll get to that. Thank you for all those questions. Then during Sylvester,
there's one question I want to read before I go to Sylvester's own. It says, how can librarians help to combat the sharing of copyright music on WhatsApp groups in very remote communities of developing countries like Malawi, from an advocacy perspective? How can librarians combat the sharing of copyrighted music on WhatsApp groups in remote countries like Malawi?
Well, it goes back to what I proposed in the presentation, that we need to be champions of advocacy, because most of the time people do not know that it is piracy. And if they had known, most of them would not do it. So people don't know that somebody just shares things to you and you reshare. Somebody upload something, you copy, you re-upload, and all of those things, because people are not aware that they are breaking the law. So this is where libraries can then become information centers, where people receive this information and get to understand that there is a law that they are breaking when they do these things.
Okay, so now the Sylvester has two questions. The first one is, I am a YouTube creator who have gotten few copyright notices from music, even though my channel isn't currently affected, because those songs, the authors allowed them to be used. For songs where the notification explicitly states no present impact, what can I do now to understand possible future issues and protect my channel? In the meantime, I have settled for AI music in my streams. That is question one. So the second question says, an artist performs their own music on a live stream. Could there be any copyright issues they need to consider, even though it's their original work? I've seen Cora Obidi on her Facebook live stream being careful with playing her own recently released song on her live stream. So those are the two questions. Maybe I should take the first one first. He said he's a YouTuber who have gotten a few copyright notices from music, though my channel isn't currently affected because those songs are allowed by the authors. Let me put it this way. For songs where the notification explicitly states no present impact, what can I do now to understand possible future issues and protect my channel? So that is the question.
Yeah, well, I would really encourage you to look at the resources that we have provided at the end of the presentation. where you can look at the Creative Commons and find music that is safe to use for your YouTube account. The fact that you have been notified a couple of times, it means the music that you are currently using, you are not allowed to use it. I see you have opted for AI music. I would not be a proponent of that as an artist, because I really want artists to make money and prosper. AI is here to compete with us big time. But the other thing you can do is also raise the matter with YouTube. You can lodge a complaint that you've used the music, but it's being taken down. And as far as you understand, this music is available for you to use this way, and see what their response is. On the owner playing their own music, as the owner of the copyright, you are free to do anything with your music. The only thing that might be an issue is if the contract you have with your publishers provides limitations for how you use your music. Then that is your individual arrangement with your publisher. But in terms of the law, as the owner of the intellectual property or of the copyright, you are free to use your music in any way you want to.
All right, thank you. So I'll take about 3 more questions and we will allow director to go and rest. We've taken much of his time. So there's this question I think is very important. It says, please, my daughter is a ballet dancer, and immediately she finished dancing, we upload on social media platform. And sometimes words like, this song is muted, what can we do? Is it because it's copyright or it's affected, it's an infringement or something? Because when they upload,
Yeah,
say that
unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, there's nothing she can do. It means that the song the child is dancing to has copyright. So when you load the video, unfortunately, the music will be muted because you don't have permission. What you can do is, if you know the song, you can, as you upload your video, it gives you an option to add music. You can then add that song directly from the source of that song. That way the song will play, because whoever plays your video, the artist knows that my song was played this many times, this many seconds, and all of those things. But if you just play it like that from the video that you took with your phone, then it becomes difficult for those who collect royalties to track who is playing the song where. So if you really want that song to be in that video, then you must link with the song online. That way the song will play. Otherwise, from you taking a video with your phone, it will be muted.
Okay, so there's this question. I don't know if the person is a musician or is now a beginner. It says, also, I recently uploaded my songs and I saw some write up that this song is muted in some countries. Say, please, why?
Yeah, well, if it's an unregistered song, in some territories in the world, it will be muted because they don't know how to account for that song. So what we need to do is to encourage that person, because you have the song, rather than promoting it without it being registered, register the song. Once the song is registered, then you are free to put it on any video and it will be played in all territories. But some territories are not happy with music that they can't really credit whose song this is and so on.
Okay, so the last question. is
And sorry,
what
maybe before you go to the last question, I also just need to say it is dangerous what that person is doing. If you upload your music and it's not registered, you risk somebody taking that song and registering it and claiming that it's theirs, and you may not have a recourse.
So tell a musician, tell a friend to tell a friend that the moment you record your music, you need to register it. Otherwise, whatever happens to it, you can't blame anyone, and the law cannot protect you. So this is the final question. What mechanisms are in place to make it possible for musicians to benefit from their creations after others have used their works? With respect to books, rights holders benefit through the payment of reprographic fees. What about the musicians?
We have what is called a collecting agencies in different countries or in different territories. In the resources that I provided, you will find some of them. In South Africa, there is an organization called SAMRO, which is South African Music Royalties something association. I'm not sure what it stands for. But it's a collecting agency. There are international ones like ASCAP and others. You need to register your music with those collecting agencies so that they collect your royalties. There are a number of artists, even here in South Africa, I know of many cases where artists will just release songs in the public domain and they are not registered with a royalty collecting agencies. And then because like here in South Africa, most if not all royalties from radio stations, TV stations, and everybody goes through to SAMRO. SAMRO is sitting with a lot of a huge catalog of what is termed unclaimed royalties. And they expire over some period of time. And when they expire, SAMRO then takes that money. It becomes their money, and they use it to support the industry through lobbying, advocacy, and whatever other activities that they perform. But there's that danger. You need to register your music and register with a royalty collecting agency so that royalties are collected on your behalf. Some people think if I just make a song and put it on TikTok and TikTok pays me, TikTok pays you for something different. YouTube pays you for something different. But royalty collectors for the music pay you for the use of your music on whatever platform they collect royalties for you. So it's important that you register with a royalty collecting agency.
Ah, thank you. And thank you. And thank you again. Honestly, I am so happy we had Mr. Mandla to make this presentation.
But please, can I again say thank you to Mandla? Thank you, Mandla, for being patient with us, answering all our questions. I'm sure that you can see that we are coming from that point of really not knowing much about this, but you were detailed, you were just careful in your explanations, and we appreciate you. We'll still get back to you. Of course, we'll write you a letter of appreciation, and we'll see how do we take this forward so that it won't be a one-off thing. We can work towards creating something, a document or something that librarians can use to engage musicians in their different communities, in their different countries, and what they need to teach them and so on. So once again, we are really grateful for your time. Thank you very much, Mandla. And thank you for everyone that is here. Oh, and somebody said I've not greeted her. Please, Global Hajia Nimat Abdurrahim is also here, and this discussion actually started with her for the Intellectual Property Day. So thank you very much, my dear friend, sister Nimat. Thank you for everyone that has been here.